Welcome, everybody, to episode 59 of the Play On podcast on PlayOnArbitrary.com. I am your host, Pat B. of Pat's Retro Video Game Reviews on PlayOnArbitrary.com. And you have joined us on a special night. This is the second annual Play On Video Game Arbies Award. Welcome, everybody, to the Arbies Awards, the second annual Arbies Awards. These are the prestigious awards given out by nobodies to somebodies.
Mm-hmm.
These are, yeah, you like that? That's a little tagline for it.
Cute.
These are the awards for video gaming in 2014. The biggest winners, the losers, the game of the year, of course, surprises, worst developed, all kinds of categories that we're going to be covering and giving the Arbie out to our individual picks.
Yes.
We did this last year. We had some good winners. I went back and I looked at some of the winners and losers of last year. It was interesting to read.
Yeah.
And I kept some of them, so
Nice.
We'll share some of those so we can have some perspective.
History?
Yeah, some history on where some of these winners have gone and where some of these losers have gone.
Was I like, the Xbox One is going to be the biggest thing ever?
Yeah. The Wii U is totally poised for a comeback.
Oh, God. Okay.
So yeah, we being an award show, we've gone through. We had the red carpet. We were out talking to all the guests and the photographers and everything. And now we're here with our host again. We asked you to come back. You did so well last year. Our host for the Arbies Awards this year,
Me.
Annie.
Who are you wearing?
I'm wearing blue. Blue, the color blue.
Lovely.
Yeah. It's a sweatshirt.
But designer sweatshirt.
I mean, like, it does say Chalet on the Lake
It's very beautiful.
Oh, nice.
on my left boob.
Mm-hmm.
It's classy.
It's classy as well.
It's fancy.
It was funny, speaking of boob, because New Year's Eve, we did a murder mystery party together.
Yeah.
All of us were at Joe of Game Classy hosted a murder mystery for New Year's Eve.
Quite fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. And you guys were awesome, by the way. You guys did really good. I loved your characters.
Listen.
I go 100%.
Yeah, I was hoping you guys would really commit to the parts that we all had.
We did.
I think my outfit was more committed than I was.
You had a wig. You had
exactly.
everything.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I voted for myself for best dressed. But whatever.
You did great.
I did okay.
But did you hear about what happened with my wife with her costume?
No.
I did hear about that.
I'm sure the women heard about it. But
which I know, and right away. Okay,
Is
so
there a
what
wardrobe
happened was
malfunction?
no, it was just that Pat's wife asked him to pick up her costume, and so when he was at the store, the girl said, "Well, what are her measurements?" And then the girl said, "No, just give me her cup size," And right away, when she told me that part of the story, I was like, oh, because any woman will know. Like, I don't know why the woman just asked for her cup size, because that is not an indication at all of what size your waist is, what size, like, your legs are, anything.
That's
so, I
pretty
mean, it's
weird.
just, why would you ask for just that? If she had asked for her dress size, that's totally different. You would have been able to pick out something a lot more, like, fitting. But she asked for just the cup size. So, the dress didn't fit. So
both of them. They gave me two. One as a backup, as a safety. Struck out on both of them.
Shit.
So, but it all worked out because Joe's wife had an extra dress. You guys went to Party City.
Yeah, she went to Party City.
She got one from Party City. So it ended up all working out. It was just so funny because,
I'm not the person that should have been there to do it, because I thought these were because they were pre-picked characters, and when we looked at the gift certificate, there was a name of a character on the certificate. So I was like, these must be pre-picked costumes.
Oh, no.
So when I went in there, Michelle was just like, well, just get this size. And so I was like, okay. And I go in there and
No.
they're like, well, do you have her measurements? And I was like, no. Do I need them? And they're like, well, yeah, you got to go pick these things out. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah, it's like a big store, and you just have to pick
it's
all
like
your
a warehouse
pieces together.
The place is crazy.
It is really cool, though.
Yeah.
It was cool.
And so I took my phone out. I was going to call my wife, and the girl's like, no. What's her bra size? And even that I wasn't totally sure of.
Slapped her in the face because that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I was just like, it might be this?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you don't know? And I was like, well,
You're trying to think of actresses
I mean,
to
like
compare
when
to.
I'm with her, she's not wearing a bra,
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's like she's not a fucking girl I have a crush on in gym class. Like, it's my fucking wife.
It's not like
you
I
know,
look at her bra every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
like-
you know what size my bra is?
No.
See? Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
even know
see?
what
Do
it
you
is.
know what size mine is? Lulz.
Yeah. So it was a real mess. So
You know, but really, like, she ended up looking really good. The
she
dress
looked
was
great,
super
yeah.
flattering. It was really pretty.
Yeah,
and ended up
yeah.
working out.
Yeah,
and
she looked great. She
Yeah.
looked great. But yeah, that was it's a real nightmare. And I knew she was talking to the other women of the group of the party, and so I was waiting for them to get to that point where. So then Pat goes to pick up the costume, and they
ruined it.
ask for the measurements.
No,
and-
really, I don't think it was your fault at all. I think it was the lady who
was
said,
set
"What's
up.
her cup size?" I think
Yeah,
it was.
you were set
yeah.
up for failure.
Yeah, I was
with
set
that
up for
one.
failure.
Yeah, no.
I even told her I was like, I'm not the person that should have been in that position.
No, it was that bitch that asked for what
right.
size Michelle's
Oh, it was
boobs
yeah,
are.
it was crazy. And even that, I thought that was kind of crossing. I was like, really? You want to have this
Really?
conversation? I don't know
Can
you.
ask
I
me
mean,
what
you're
size
very.
my
penis
penis
is.
is? 'Cause that'll determine my whole outfit. Good red carpet talk, guys. Good red carpet
Yeah,
talk.
that was good. All right, well let's kick the show off.
Kick
All
it up.
right.
Get the ceremony going.
Let's do
Annie,
it.
what are the categories this year?
This year, the categories are Worst Developer, Developer of the Year, Biggest Loser, Biggest Winner, Most Disappointing / Worst Game of the Year, Most Surprising, and Game of the Year.
Love it.
All right, so Anthony and I, we're gonna go back and forth, and we're gonna give out the Arbies.
Yeah.
Anthony, why don't you go ahead and kick it off?
Okay. Worst developer of the year. My word goes obviously to Ubisoft, if you will. Between the horrible mismarketing of Watch Dogs, the horrible Unity launch on all the next-gen consoles and PC, and just how poorly it ran and still does to this day, them holding review embargoes until 12 hours after the game launched, blunders with PR between frame rates and female characters in games. It was all in all just a pretty bad year for Ubisoft.
They had a rough one.
Yeah, so I enjoyed Far Cry 4 a lot, and I think that one was totally fine. And like I said, I enjoyed Assassin's Creed Unity a lot. I think that was a really fun game if you could like get past all the technical blunders, in the transactions and all that. But overall, they just they shat the bed, if you will. They just they let people down, and they really led people into these mismarketing campaign things, which so I think now gamers are kind of losing trust in them, and so they get my award for worst developer of the year.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Congratulations, Ubisoft.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Here's
Yeah,
your
they thoroughly
bronze
earned
Arbie.
Thoroughly.
it. Yeah, that was when people started comparing them to EA. Yeah, it was bad. It was real bad.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. My Arbie for worst developer goes to Code Avarice.
Okay, who is that?
This is Mike Malbec, the man that threatened to kill Gaben from Valve.
Oh,
geez,
yeah.
that's right. Good call. Good
and,
surprise.
and not only that, I mean, not only did he threaten to kill Gaben, and then they took the game down off Steam. This guy went through the worst downward spiral ever because he wound up selling his share in his company, in his developing company, stepped down even after other employees at the company begged him not to do it and thought that was kind of an overreaction. But, I think that on Twitter, that tweet was just kind of taken too seriously. I think it was more like, oh, I'm going to kill you. Come on, because he thought that his game was being mishandled on Steam, misrepresented.
Way to piss off the number one
distribution platform.
plan for yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And was just stupid, let his emotion get the best of him. I mean, and it was a series of very angry tweets that he was aiming at Steam and at Valve. And then finally it culminated in a death threat.
Jesus.
And they said, well, fuck you, and then shut that game down, and then he lost everything.
That sucks.
So, yeah, Mike Malbec, you win the Arbie.
You win that, and let that be a lesson. Don't threaten people's lives over games.
Especially the ones that can distribute your game to millions and millions of people.
The golden standard.
Dumb.
Yes.
Dumb.
Real dumb. All right, so then Developer of the Year goes to...
So I kind of cheated. I have 3.
3? Okay. All right. You
all
can,
right.
yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
Because they all tied.
It was a
I was-
three-way tie
yeah,
for an Arbie?
I had a really hard time.
Three-way, Anthony?
A 3-way, if you will. It's not gay when it's in a 3-way. So, Monolith Productions was the developer of the wonderful Lord of the Rings Shadow of Mordor. And the reason I gave them an Arbie was because they took an existing franchise that really has been kind of beaten beating a dead horse, if you will. And they made it really fun again. And they made you not even care about Lord of the Rings, but they just made the gameplay. They made a fantastic PC port. All around, it was a great game. It was one of the few games this year where I just 100%ed that whole thing. So they get a third of my Arbie. Respawn Entertainment for Titanfall because...
Ooh, oh, wow. Did you hear that? Do you see the faces of the crowd?
the crowd, they're like, ooh,
Oh,
wow,
man.
bold move, Cotton.
Yeah.
The reason I gave it to them is because they, if you are interested in the history of how Respawn Entertainment became, with the whole thing of them being dismissed from Call of Duty and all that, and they pulled through all the financial and legal struggles, and they came out with a really great game. Even though that game might not have the highest replayability, it's still a game that I'll pop in after work, play a match or two, and I'm completely satisfied. And I think they took a multiplayer formula and they really shook things up. And so, I totally commend them for it. And they really gave the Xbox One especially a fighting chance early in the year. So I give them a third of my Arbie because I think they did a good job, despite people's opinion on Titanfall. And then the last was the developer of the Creative Assembly, which did the game Alien Isolation. And again, similar to Monolith with Shadow of Mordor, they took an existing franchise that's really been, beaten to the ground, and they made it fun and fresh again, and they made an Alien game that finally lives up to the name of Alien. Played through that game, loved it, scared the crap out of me the whole time. They did a great job, great PC port. So I give the three of them my developer of the years.
Nice. That's solid.
Thanks,
that's
Ken.
solid. My Arbie for developer of the year goes to Rockstar Games.
Of course.
It just has
Which
to.
was last year's.
It was, yeah. They're a 2-time winner, 2 years in a row. They're the Meryl Streep of my Arbie award, of my developer award. Rockstar took Grand Theft Auto 5 and released it twice and killed with it twice.
Yeah, they really did.
I mean, they just, for them to, because everyone, Grand Theft Auto, it's the same. Basically, the arguments against Call of Duty and everything can be applied to Grand Theft Auto. It's the same thing every year. But Rockstar always lives up to the hype and delivers just a huge game that is, gets a lot of people really excited, and then a lot of people really enjoy playing it on multiple platforms. And because Grand Theft Auto 5 came out when last gen, and it hit so big on Xbox 360 and PS3, it just made sense for them to do current gen versions and hit all over again. Made a great trailer, got everyone excited, and then the game delivered, and it was just awesome.
Yeah.
And not only that, they filled it with features that made you want to go out and buy it again. I mean, your game saves could transfer. The whole online community has been fixed. The economy, the money, all that stuff has been fixed. It even added new features like the online heists, which people raved about. I mean, people lost their shit over that. So for Rockstar to just, no matter what they did for the last 2 years, just hit huge every single time. I just think that they are the most deserving of it for me. And not only that, they haven't even released the PC version of it yet.
Yeah,
that's still coming, and it's
huge.
It's going to be huge again. And this is a 2-year-old game now.
Yeah.
So I mean, there were other games that saw current gen re-releases. The Last of Us was a big one, and everyone was like, "Well, yeah, Last of Us." But when Grand Theft Auto 5 was announced. It was, Last of what? It was like Grand Theft Auto 5.
People selling their kids for it.
Oh, I know. It was insane. So, and I mean, I got it for Christmas. I've been messing around. Yeah, I've been messing around with it on PS4.
It's really fun.
It's awesome. So, and I still have the desire to play the PC version.
Yeah,
that's how
too.
good. That's how good it is.
I know.
So, and once the modding community, the people that mod those games,
That's the thing. It's gonna get cool. It's gonna get crazy.
It's gonna be wild. So
good choice.
Yeah, Rockstar Games, 2-time winner for me. But they just keep hitting it out of the park with GTA 5.
If they ever come out with a Red Dead Redemption HD remake or a sequel, they're automatically just gonna get all my awards.
Yeah,
like just shut up and take my awards.
Yeah, and, my awards and just shower them with gold.
Just give a $3,000 edition. Take it.
Annie.
All right, friends. The award for biggest loser goes to...
So last year I said the biggest winner was gamers. This year I think the biggest loser was gamers.
Really?
Yeah, it's such a cheesy answer. But here's my theory. This year, I don't know what it was about 2014, but it seemed like there were some really great highs in gaming and that there were just some awful lows. And I was looking back at headlines and things that happened, like Gamergate, that whole disaster, which just gave such a negative opinion on the industry and gamers. And So we had to deal with that. Poorly launched games, not just from Ubisoft, even things like, they had the Master Chief Collection or DDoS attacks from hackers and having people not be able to play their consoles over the holiday break and, things like that. Microtransactions sneaking their way into games and, blocking out content. Just like overhyped and mismarketed games, like poorly optimized PC games. There just seemed to be, like, for every step forward, there was 2 steps back. And
Right.
so as a gaming community and as a gamer, I felt like this was just like, it wasn't a super exciting year. It wasn't like the year where we had new console announcements, and it wasn't like, here's all these fantastic games that we got at the end of last gen's cycle. And it just felt like a meh. And so, but I just think that there were so many negative things that happened that it just kind of made me feel like, what a craptastic year for gamers.
Yeah.
When you pay money for a game, you kind of expect it to work and you want to play good things. And so I just kind of feel bad. So there's that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
What do you got?
My Arbie goes to a portion of what you had talked about.
Okay.
My Arbie goes to online services, particularly. This is a two-way. This is a tie
Yeah.
for the Arbie for PSN and Xbox Live.
Yeah.
It was just a horrible year for online services this year. People not being able to connect to servers in certain games.
Yeah.
Drive Club being a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Just a horribly broken game, and touching on a little bit with the busted games that were just released, where it just didn't even seem like
Buggy
they cared,
Yeah.
But the fact that they got these games out that had portions that were so online heavy, and that some people were buying purely for the online functionality, couldn't connect,
Yeah.
couldn't play these things, and not only that, the poor connection issues, the poor servers. The attacks, the hacking attacks, which were just goddamn brutal this year. I mean, taking down the two of the largest gaming services in existence on Christmas Day for the pure fact that that's possible now, to
Right.
take the entire service down, not just affect it negatively
Right.
to where some people can't connect, but to completely knock it out of service for a couple days, right at the biggest time of the year for gaming, is insane. I mean, at this point, Sony in particular, after their hacking issues, you think they would have the most immaculate security in the world.
Yeah.
Going back 2-3 years ago when they were hacked brutally for an entire month, they had to pay people with games and free identity theft protection.
Yeah.
If someone with the Lizard Squad's able to say, yeah, we're going to take it down on Christmas,
Yeah.
and then they go ahead and do it. That just blows my mind that that they can just do that,
It's
like
just
flipping
upsetting.
a switch.
It's just
It is.
crazy. And they do it for just the fun of it.
Right. And, now there's this spin-off hacking group called the Finest Squad who's supposed to be protecting the, PSN and Xbox Live and going after and targeting these Lizard Squad members and saying, no, they won't be able to do it. And then they just go ahead and do it anyways.
Right.
It's disappointing that can happen. I know in the world of computers and in the world of the
Right.
internet and
It's
networking,
possible.
I know it's totally possible.
Yeah.
But I hate the fact when they said, they made a statement saying that chaos is entertainment. And it's like, but you all play...
Right.
If it's so much entertainment, just mess with something else. I mean, God,
Well,
we're just
and
trying to play some video games.
What's upsetting is that it becomes evident how many services are reliant on online.
Yes.
There were so many people complaining they couldn't even just play a single player game because they couldn't connect, to verify through servers or whatever. And that's totally valid to be upset.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer that the reliance that we've come on internet makes sense, but that such a simple thing can just cause so much disruption.
Well, and I think it's really driven the resurgence of the single player campaign.
Oh, yeah.
People just wanting a story mode to play where they don't have to connect to anything.
Right.
That's kind of been a benefit, the silver lining of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that these services are still so vulnerable and can, make it so you can't play anything.
Exactly.
Is brutal. Now, if you're not PSN or Xbox Live, for PC gamers, you can just be like, well, what problems?
Exactly.
You just
It's another chuck on the PC side because you don't have to pay for any online service.
Yeah.
Which is like everybody. That's been the argument for so long, and you don't have these disruptions.
Yeah, it's nice.
Crazy.
It's really nice, that you can just, I did the same thing. I was like, well, I'm just going to go on Steam.
Exactly. I'm fucking done with this.
Yeah, so online services, you get my Arbie. Last year's winner, I thought this was kind of funny. It was kind of interesting to talk about. Last year's winner of the Biggest Loser was Don Matrick.
Oh, yeah, was that last year?
Yeah, from Microsoft.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
the executive that botched the launch of the Xbox One. And then eventually went over to Zynga.
What did I give?
I didn't put it down.
I don't remember
Who
what
your
I gave for Biggest
was.
Loser. Shit, I don't remember.
Oh, you didn't write those.
Oh, biggest. I don't know. Whatever.
Annie.
The biggest winner goes to biggest wiener.
Biggest wiener.
Winner.
I put Nintendo, and I think Wii U is rising from the ashes, which we joked about in previous podcasts, and we probably joked about last year, saying that it was dead in the water. But it really hit its stride during E3, I think, this year, because it was in a time of this whole console battle between PS4 and Xbox One, of who has the exclusives, and like all this shit. And then here's Nintendo, and they're like, hey, check out this sweet Yoshi game, and check out the new Mario, and here's a trailer for the new Zelda, and it's just like, yeah, you guys still have the best exclusives. And so they just rocked it at E3, and I think they gave confidence back into the Wii U by showing first-party titles. They're still doing great with the 3DS. They're still supporting that really well. They put out some great games for the Wii U this year: Donkey Kong Country, Mario Kart 8, Smash Brothers, Bayonetta 2, which has been receiving like almost perfect scores, if not perfect scores.
Yeah.
And then they have franchises like Disney Infinity and Skylanders and stuff like that. So, and then Amiibos, which you can, talk to, but Nintendo is just doing their thing that they've always done. But the way I'm describing it is it's the only experience that I can't get playing on the PC. Like I don't even care if I don't pick up the Xbox controller. If it's a multi-platform game, I'm going to play it on the PC. But Nintendo has those titles that I can't get on the computer or on the Xbox or whatever. They have those experiences like playing Mario World or playing, whatever it is, Smash Brothers, that you can't get those anywhere else really. And so I give them the winner this year, because in this, like I was saying earlier, in this year of just kind of meh and negative and poor launches, they just kind of stayed the slow and steady wins the race. They just kind of did their thing, and they did fine. And so I give them props.
That's awesome.
Biggest winner.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, my winner for this year's biggest winner.
Yep.
The Arbie goes to Nintendo as well.
Shut your mouth!
Nintendo.
Let's rub dicks.
We didn't discuss our winners and
did
losers.
not.
We did not discuss this. But yeah, for all of the things that you just said, they took the Wii U, which was pretty much deemed useless by most people, and just crushed it this year. I mean, we were cruising along in the year, and everyone was looking at the PS4 releases and the Xbox One releases, and getting really excited about these games that were coming out. And some big games came out this year. But all of it went away. It was totally silenced when Mario Kart hit.
Yeah.
And it was almost, you could see the immediate, like just on Twitter, the immediate change of Gamergate bullshit and blah, blah, PS4 bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Mario Kart 8, 1,000 tweets in retweet. Like, it just, you could see it change, and people lost their minds over it. And then Super Smash Brothers hits, and people lose their minds again. And and there's the new Toad game. People are losing their minds. And not only are these games console exclusives, but they look good too.
Yeah.
They just look
They have
really
great art
good.
styles.
They do, and they fit so perfectly on that console.
Yeah.
And then they come along and they just crush it with Bayonetta 2.
Yeah.
And not only that, like, you want to talk about, and this is the reason why console exclusives need to happen, because they locked up Bayonetta 2. It's only playable on the Wii U, and then also bundled in the original Bayonetta,
Which is really awesome.
Which is awesome. The games are not that expensive, and then when you played Bayonetta 2, I mean, it's one of the games of the year for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you can't get it, just like you said, you can't get it anywhere else. It's only on the Wii U. That's what other systems need to be doing. I know games, you sell more money, you sell more copies of games when they're multi-platform, but when you have a console exclusive like that and it just kills it, that's a console seller.
Yeah.
I mean, people went out and bought a Wii U just so they could play Bayonetta 2 and wound up having it be awesome. And then got to take advantage of all those other great games that were out.
Yeah, I've been really tempted to wanting to get a Wii U because of those games.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on the outside looking in like,
Isn't it silly?
I want to play those games. It's like, what
To
the
go to
fuck?
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to there.
And with everything, and with a gaming PC and a PS4 sitting right there,
Yeah.
and a PS3 sitting right there, staring me in the face, and I'm like, I want a Wii U.
Yeah.
Like,
It's crazy.
It's insane.
Pathetic.
So
I would have I wish I could go back to 2012, Anthony, and be like, just shut up, because one day you're gonna really want a Wii U.
yeah, or just tell like Joe from
Right.
3 years ago or 2 years ago when Wii U was announced.
Shut
Be like,
your mouth, Joe.
just wait.
Just wait.
It's got to get warmed up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like you said, they stayed the slow and steady pace, slow and steady course, and I think they came out the biggest winner of the year.
Not to mention they have the most hottest collectible in the gaming industry right now.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned. Yeah, you touched on Amiibo. I haven't even said Amiibo. The hottest gaming accessory of the year is the Amiibo. The fact that they're sold out everywhere, and now you have to special
crazy.
order them from Japan to get certain models, and people are pre-ordering these $12 plastic figures.
Yeah.
I myself, I have 3 active pre-orders for
you don't
fucking
even
Amiibos.
and you don't even have a Wii U.
And I don't even own a Wii U. Yeah, that's right. I don't even have one. I just want them. And like I said, my addiction to those things was purely going to hinge on my initial reaction to seeing them the very first time in the store. And when I saw them, I was like, they're so well done. I was just like, well, I'm collecting that. That's awesome. Gonna do that.
Hands down.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Nintendo.
Good
Last
job,
year,
Nintendo.
who was your winner last year?
Biggest winner? I don't remember.
Wait, no, for that category?
Yeah, well, Anthony's last year's biggest
yeah.
What
winner.
I gave for last year, honestly.
Well,
What was yours?
I dipped in the queso dip on that one. I did retro gamers.
Oh, that's right. All I
Good one.
remember is giving.
It
gamers.
took me a minute, and I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I did gamers.
cheesy.
Gamers was
Yeah,
my
gamers.
biggest
Yeah,
winner.
that's right. Yeah, the
Because I did
cheese.
the biggest winner last year.
Yeah.
It was super cheese, and then I did
Yeah.
it this year. You're welcome.
Yeah, cheese jizz.
Consistency.
Annie, what's the next award?
The most surprising.
Most surprising.
Most surprising.
Now, Anthony, you've introduced this category this year.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration? What?
Well, when I was going through the list for Game of the Year, which we'll get to, there was I was really struggling between a couple games, and part of it was just because I had zero or no didn't even expect a game to be good, and then I was blown away by it. And so my biggest surprise of the year actually was again a tie, because it was Shadow of Mordor. Because leading up to that, I had no hype for it, I had no expectation, and then playing that, I was like, this is such a great game. And so Shadow of Mordor was a huge surprise hit for me, as was Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Oh, yeah.
Again, had no interest in playing that, was never like a hardcore Wolfenstein person, but I downloaded it because there was this lull of Xbox games, and man, what a fantastic experience. So those 2 games I gave, they were just surprise hits for me. And I'm sure Shadow of Mordor is selling well, but I don't know how well Wolfenstein did, but a lot of people should play that game. It's just really well done. So those are my surprise hits.
Nice.
How about you?
My biggest surprise, and it was one that you told me about.
Huh.
The Arbie for my biggest surprise goes to Shadow Warrior.
Nice.
Shadow Warrior on
I
Steam.
was playing that last night.
Yeah, I finally had some time. I sat down and I played some Shadow Warrior, and I wouldn't even say surprised. I'd say shock
Yeah.
was more the feeling that I felt. And why aren't more people talking about Shadow
Exactly.
Warrior? It's so good.
And it was released on the next-gen consoles this year. So
this year?
people
Okay.
could play them if they wanted to play it.
Yeah, it's such a good game.
I started playing that, and I'm like, this has Pat, screaming Pat. I'm like, you've got to get this, especially because it was on sale.
Oh yeah, not only it was like $13 or something.
I think it was like $4.
Yeah, it was super cheap, but it's so good.
It's
I mean,
really good.
yeah, the art style is good, and the characters, Lo Wang is just
He's got some knee slappers.
yeah, he's funny. It's genuinely funny. I mean, it's corny, but it is really funny. But his ridiculous overconfidence in himself, it spills out of the screen onto you. Like, you really feel when he just gets into a group of 6 guys that all he has is a samurai sword to protect. I mean, he gets a gun eventually, but
Yeah.
when he has this, you choose. You have to
always do
use the sword.
Yeah.
It's the coolest way of doing it.
Yeah.
And he just talks shit to everybody,
Yep.
and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill everyone.
Yeah, no threat.
Yeah, it just feels really good playing that game. It makes me happy.
Nice.
It's such a gory,
Yeah, it's a lot of
violent
fun.
game, but that character is so well done. I mean, I was hooked from that first intro
Yes.
scene where he's listening to "I've got the touch" or "You've got the touch,"
Singing in his car.
and he's just like, "Goddamn right!" I was hooked immediately.
Yeah, that's a good game.
It's so good. So first, I gotta thank you for telling
You're
me about
welcome.
it, because it totally was not on my radar at all.
Good. You're welcome.
But yeah, that was the biggest surprise for me.
Nice.
Easily this year. Easy, hands down. So,
Very nice.
Nice. Good
Annie.
work.
The big one.
The game of the year goes to
Game of the year, Anthony.
I'm gonna give you what my choices were, and then I'll give you my game of the year.
Now,
Okay?
do you have runners up for your categories?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll do the official winners, and we can go back through and we can do runners up for stuff.
Okay. It was between 4.
Between 4.
I mean,
4.
but those were my 4 that I was really struggling with, but I narrowed it down to a winner.
It was hard choosing a
Yeah,
game.
it
It
was
was really tough choosing a game of the year.
So my nominees were Shadow of Mordor, Dark Souls 2, Hearthstone, and Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Okay. All right.
My winner is Hearthstone.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Game changer.
See,
Wow.
Yeah.
he said that you were going to be really surprised.
Shocker.
Really?
Because I barely talk about it. I didn't mention any other categories, but here's the thing with Hearthstone. It was a game that when I downloaded it for the iPad, because I really, again, something that was never on my radar, never heard about, and then they were like, it made a big deal when it was released on the iPad, and it's free, so I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. And everybody kept saying, this game is so accessible. Like, it doesn't matter if you like card games or whatever, it's so accessible to everybody, and it does such a good job of drawing you in and just keeping you playing. And it's absolutely right. It's a free game that doesn't feel free to play. Like, it doesn't shove in your face, here's money you should spend to pay to win. It's totally well done. And you could play that game. I've played that game. I should look and see how many hours I put into that between the iPad and the computer. And I've never spent a dime. And it's just so much fun. And it's a great example of free to play done right. It's a great example of what putting a quality amount of time into something so simple as a card game can produce. You know, something that you wouldn't even care about, but just the interaction and how you do it and how you go up against players and you get different rewards and stuff. Such a fantastic game. And it obviously, I can't be the only one that feels that way, because when you go onto Twitch, it's always one of the top streamed games, which is it's just unbelievable. And so I totally give it my game of the year. I think it's a no-brainer for anybody to get it and try, because it's free. But if you get hooked into it, it'll suck up some serious hours, and for such a simple concept. And my runner-up was Shadow of Mordor, because again, it was a sleeper hit that I played it and I was hooked, and I just wanted to keep going back, and I wanted to master the combat, and I wanted to unlock everything, the whole Nemesis system, and then it was just icing on the cake that it was a Lord of the Rings within that realm. So you kind of knew the characters and you understood the references, and it could have been anything. It could have been a Batman game. It doesn't matter. But it was such a fun game to play. So those two games, was Hearthstone and Shadow of Mordor.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
How about you?
My Arbie for the game of the year goes to Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
Yes, Shadow of Mordor. It's just such a great game.
Yep.
It's so playable. It got me, like you had said earlier, it got me excited about a Lord of the Rings game. It's not all me personally, my taste in games, I love fantasy games and I love medieval fantasy type themes, but video games, I think this year were just too saturated with it. There's just too many dragons and swords.
Yeah.
I know people love that stuff, but just too many dragons and swords for me. But once I saw Shadow of Mordor and I started playing it, I was immediately hooked, and it's just so satisfying to play. There's just a great feel to that game. When you hit something, even though you're just controlling it, you feel like you hit something.
Yeah.
The combat is great.
Yeah.
Seeing that it's just the Batman system.
Exactly.
But it just works. It fits so well, and Lord of the Rings lends itself so that story, that world is just perfect for the way they set that up. And being open world is perfect because it's not trying to tell this, huge story
Exactly.
with. I mean, there's a lot of characters and there's a lot going on in Shadow of Mordor, and it's very easy to get lost in fantasy games because they introduce so much dialogue, so
Right.
many stories, so many different people that you come in contact with that it's sometimes can be a little overwhelming. In the sense that you're like, it's another person.
Right. There's so much
just-
lore you have to go through.
There's just so much stuff to sift through. And Lord of the Rings just took all of that and threw it away. Shadow of Mordor just threw it all away and just said, here's the world. Here's where that's just going to set everything up. You get to run through it and choose how you're going to do things. And with that Nemesis system, with the ranking up of the Uruk-hai army, was just amazing because it let you pick and choose who you wanted to go after, but still totally felt like you were playing a story almost.
Yeah.
I mean, there were missions in there too,
Yep.
but it was so open world, but yet felt so linear, which I like.
Yeah. It wasn't overwhelming.
Yeah,
at all.
it gave you so much freedom. It was like, well, fuck it, you don't have to complete this if you want.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, it was good to do certain things that kept those elements of those fantasy type games because, I was talking to Joe about this. It was like I'd get into a battle with 50 guys and try to run away a little bit to kind of regenerate my health and everything, and I'd be running from this horde, this huge army, and be like, "Ooh, a flower," and I'd stop
I
and
gotta get that.
yeah, like I would find those collectibles and I would want to get them. So that game just had me hooked. It's easily my favorite Lord of the Rings game,
Nice.
and the fact that it was probably the first big game that I played on my gaming PC helped a little bit
Nice,
too.
yeah.
So it looked great, it played great. I was
Yeah.
using a controller for the first time on a PC game,
Nice.
and it just it was really really good. So.
Well deserved.
So Shadow Mordor, Game of the Year. I think did we skip most disappointing?
Oh, we did.
We did.
Oh,
That's
I'm
fine.
so
That's
sorry.
that's fine.
That's my
we
fault.
can
I
still do
forgot
it
about that.
because this is going to be this is one we get to rip on a little bit now.
But what was your runner-up? Did you have a runner-up? Game of the year?
Oh, Game of the Year. Well, we'll do runners up as like a separate
Okay.
thing. But last year, who's your last year's winner? Do you remember who you gave it to?
No. Grand Theft Auto. Was it
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 5?
Mine was Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, I think it was because I remember I Rockstar always does such a great game with games.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that was
Oh,
it.
Rockstar was your developer of the year. I know that.
Yeah, I mean they do such quality work no
Yeah.
matter what it is. So I'm sure that was it.
Who was your winner for most disappointing?
Most disappointing was
/ worst.
Oh, yeah, it was Destiny.
Yeah.
It was between Destiny and Watch Dogs, but at the end of the day, I completely beat Watch Dogs, and while it wasn't the prettiest looking game, it was fun enough, the single player to go through, and it was one of the few open world games where I beat it, so it couldn't have been that bad. But Destiny was disappointing, just the kind of the lack of content. I did get hooked into the grind initially when it was like the hype, but as soon as that was done, there was just nothing to do, and they just kept making mistakes with not being able to do matchmaking for raids and blocking things out behind DLC, and it was just disappointing when that game had such potential to be a Halo killer, to be a force for a whole new franchise, which I'm sure it will still do, but I don't know, that was disappointing to me.
All right.
So that was
All
it.
right.
Destiny.
My Arbie for most disappointing / worst
Plus worse.
is Destiny.
Man, we should have a show together.
Yeah, what? Yeah, seriously.
What do you
Jeez, this is crazy. Yeah, Destiny, and the only thing I wrote on it was, I want a game, not a second job.
Yeah.
Great
Great way to describe it.
I'm really, I am all for a game being, and it's weird because there is a lack of content there, but at the same time, there's an insane amount of content there.
Yeah, you have to spend a lot of time to get stuff.
Yeah, you do, and you have to grind, and the focus on loot, which is fine. I know that's that game, and you're trying to level up your character, multiple characters. But god damn, who's got the fucking time
Right.
to? And I know there are people that are doing that, sinking in, hundreds of hours into this game. And I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I don't have the time to be a part of something that massive. And the thing is the game is not the stuff that's really fun to play. You really got to put some time in just to be able to access that stuff. Yeah. And for me, as a more casual player, I can get into a game, and if I get into a game, I'll 100% it. I'll go through it. I'll beat the story. I'll go through all that stuff. I fell behind so fast in Destiny, and then when I wanted to go back to it and get back in and start playing it again, I was so far behind that no one wanted to go on a raid with me. No one wanted to do anything with me in that game because I wasn't leveled up. They're like, oh, you're just going to be more of a liability to me tagging along than if I just go in with these other guys that are level 30 plus and go do real stuff.
Big boy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I just the concept is good, and they executed it well for what it is, but I don't think having to make people sink in hundreds of hours to be at a level where it's really fun, where you start getting the really cool stuff and the really good guns and the really good armor and having things like Zur, being in certain special locations. I just don't have the time to keep up with just Zur. Like, where's Zur this week? Like, I don't have time to do that. So it was disappointing because I was so pumped for that game too. I mean, I went all in. I got all the DLC for it, and I'm playing some of it, but it's like I'm so far behind. And it happened fast. Like, it's not, trying to get into modern, Call of Duty like a year and a half after it's come out and the online community is
Right.
established and those people are really good at the game, you can still go into a game and
Right. You'll be with people your
And-
same level.
yeah, and still you can be competitive. You'll get a kill.
Yeah.
You'll go into Destiny and just be useless.
Yeah.
Like now it's just people are like, well, you really need this in order to kill that guy,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get it until level this, and you only get it on this particular raid,
Yeah.
but you have to do it like a bunch to get it. It's
Right.
like, well, fuck, I don't want.
Especially in the early game, like before they even patched a lot, when people had sunk in a lot of hours, like I did, where, to get those like the legendary gear or whatever, and you get
Right.
those. I even forgot what they were called. Like the things you have to take to the guy to unlock
Yeah,
a weapon,
yeah.
and then you weren't even guaranteed that. Like that was frustrating. You
Oh yeah,
have all
the
these,
engrams.
yeah, the engrams, and then you
Yeah.
go, and then you get some crap thing, and you're like, well, what the hell's the point of having the system then? If
Mm-hmm.
so, and that upset a lot of people. So that game was, it's not a bad game. It's just disappointing
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, it's almost for like an elite few that game is really good for.
It's weird. It's such a weird audience for that
Yeah.
game.
I found myself going after some of the loot and being like, "Look what I got! Look, this is good, right?" And everyone was like, "All of that is shit." Like,
Yeah.
I'm like literally
Oh,
on the
that's
ground scrounging for
nothing.
pennies. Like, look what I found! This is good, right?
Ass coins.
Yeah, ass coins. Yes.
Poo dollars.
Yeah,
Poo
poo dollars.
Good one.
I always pick up money from the ground, and Anthony doesn't like it.
Do you pick up coins off the ground?
I mean, like, not pennies, but if it's a quarter, hell yeah, I'm gonna pick that up.
And I'm
off
always
the
like,
ground.
that was in somebody's butt.
Even
No.
even if it's tails up, because if it's tails up, you're supposed to leave it.
Ooh.
It's bad luck to
Pennies-
pick
no,
up the
it's-
tails up.
But that's only
Quarters?
pennies.
I think I apply it to all coins.
I'm gonna pick up a quarter if I see a quarter, regardless of heads or tails.
Now, Annie, you had a mobile game of the year.
Oh, mobile game of the year, Bonza,
Why?
because it's awesome. Because Bonza.
Every time I look at you, you're playing that game.
Well, that's because it's good. Bonza is kind of like a crossword puzzle game, only it's a little bit different. You end up with what looks like a crossword puzzle. I'll play one right now as we're telling. And they give you a title to the puzzle. This one is called Battle of Vampire. So then you need to pick out all the things. What chunks of words can you put together?
Okay.
So the letters are all like in groups of
So,
1, 2,
yeah.
or 3.
And it's kind of
And
laid out like a crossword.
Yeah, and then you have to stick them together. So you don't know what words you're making. You just need to make them.
Bonza?
Bonza.
Bonza.
Is it free?
Game of the year.
It was.
I think so.
It was free.
Yeah,
It's a free game.
I think
This
so.
game of the year. Look at you guys. You guys found the
Free
good
to
free
play
games.
games.
Yeah, seriously.
iPad horrors.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anthony finds all the games, and then I only play the good ones. 'Cause
Oh,
he's having-
and you had biggest disappointment of the year for you as well.
Oh,
Oh,
brace yourself.
okay.
Patrick. Biggest disappointment of the year for me was Papers, Please. Because you guys talked and talked
What?
and
Yeah.
talked and
I'm
talked
thinking about
about.
getting a divorce.
I'm thinking about giving you an Arbie for biggest surprise.
Oh, listen.
Biggest.
All I'm saying is that you guys talked about how awesome it was, and I was like, this is more work than it is fun. Like, it was not fun. Sorry.
Really? You just didn't enjoy it? I mean, was
No.
it just
She didn't like the finding all the what's wrong and
No.
Oh,
If I
the
wanted
discrepancy and-
no. If I wanted to work, I would just get a job.
it is a work simulator.
I think some country somewhere that was actually their real like immigration processing.
Probably.
Oh my
like
God. No. Give me some Bonza, bitches.
that is surprising.
Sorry.
That is good.
I hope that we can still be friends.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
You know,
good.
I mean, I'll think about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty cloudy future.
Wow, well, I mean, you know, but not everybody. I mean, I know people are probably listening to this and being like, "Destiny's the greatest game ever." Like
Right.
these
Oh,
guys
yeah.
are idiots. Like,
This is totally just our opinions.
yeah, it's just not.
and it also
you
is
know.
representative of where we are at in our lives. You know, like you kind of called it out. I don't want a second job on things where when I was single and I lived, with my friend Eric, I would totally be into a game where I would have to sink 100 hours into it,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like, what the fuck else do I have to do? But like when you're working and you have a family or, it's just at different times in your life. That's why I think I'm more attracted to the Nintendo games now because like PlayStation and PC and all that, like so much of it is like the realism, like going for these games that are realistic and shooters and things like that. And eventually sometimes there's a lot of like baggage that goes along with that. And you just want something mindless and fun. You just want to like be a toad and jump around a fucking screen for a little bit.
That happened with me with Far Cry 4 when you so generously gifted me Far Cry 4.
Oh yeah, did you ever play it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it took me a while to actually get to that game because that's a game I wanted to sit down and be like, okay, I know it's going to be a whole thing. It's going to be a big production. I don't want to miss any story, any dialogue. I can't be distracted because I don't know when there's going to be a checkpoint or a save point.
Right.
And so it took me like 2 weeks to actually like really sit down and like have time to take that game all in. And even then, like the time I got it was like a very rare chunk of time that I had. So I was like, I'm playing Far Cry 4 with the volume all the way up, and I'm gonna just soak it all in. And it was great. I mean, I really love Far Cry 4. That game is
it's not
really
a bad
good.
game at all.
No, not at all.
Just,
I mean,
it just didn't creep into my game of the year.
no, I mean it definitely hooked me.
Yeah.
I got that hook where I stopped playing. I played it for like an hour or so. And when I got done playing it, I had to run some errands and things. And I always know when a game's got me, when I will be off doing something, I'll be like, oh, I really want to be at home playing that game. Like,
Yep.
Like now I get it. Like now I understand what it was trying to do.
Yeah.
That game gave me that feeling.
Nice.
So, it's really, really good. But games are just that's why I really loved Shadow Warrior so much and still do, because that was 3.5 minutes of an intro.
Yeah.
And not only did they totally convey most of what was going on in that game in that very short amount, but it just dove right into the action.
Yeah.
A brief intro mission to kind of give you the feel of the game, and then it was just full throttle, 100% forward.
Yeah.
And there were like starts and finishes. Where like now if I play something and it says, complete, I'm like, holy shit, is it done? Save it now.
Yep.
So I appreciate a game that can get it, tell me what it needs me to do. Or I figure it out quickly, but it's really good. Shadow Mordor did that.
Yeah.
Because Lord of the Rings, man, I mean...
There's a lot of open world games these days.
Yeah.
It used to be rare. It used to be like Grand Theft Auto would come out, and that was it. And now like everything is an open world game, and that's great because you're getting a great value for your money, but it also means you have to spend a lot more time to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those games, like so many of those games are like go to this thing, shoot some stuff, and then go back to this point. And eventually that gets exhausting. And you're just like, this is just work. Like, this isn't even fun. So,
like Papers, Please.
That is...
But so much reading.
That's the best simulator ever.
Do you see now what I'm talking about? Text on screen? Like,
this is why... You know what I didn't even talk about? Like, Dragon Age Inquisition, everybody's raving about that game, and it's not a bad game.
That was game of the year for a lot of people.
And it's not a bad game. I've put some time into it, but that's a game where I'm overwhelmed by it, and it's overwhelmed to the point where like I don't have a desire, like when I'm sitting down on the couch and we're watching TV and I'm going to boot up Game Stream or whatever, I'm going to Steam and home streaming. Like, that's just one that I just can't do. I'm like, this is like a whole thing. There's a lot of reading involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
See?
It takes a long time. It's just like, and so I don't, and that's the problem, is like, that's such a great game, and I'm sure it's a phenomenal game, and if I was into it, probably be game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so turned off by how overwhelming it is.
Right.
That I just tend to go to like, oh, maybe I'll play Super Meat Boy now, or I'll play something else, that's just quick and light, and I could. The other problem with having a PC is that I'm like super ADD with things now, where it's just like I play a game and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play this now because it's just as easy as a click. So I'm just constantly switching between games, which is fine.
Yeah. Well, and those types of games like the Dark Souls and and things like that, and Dragon Age is there's this huge world and it's so full of characters. I don't want to help some random villager, like round up sheep from some local thug or I don't care about those side quests because you can get this ability or you can get that, but in the grand scheme of things, a lot of those little side quests and a lot of those people that ask you for help and villagers that ask you to do random tasks and shit like that, in the grand scheme of the story of those games, a lot of that stuff really has no effect on you. Or your experience. Right. I mean, maybe later on they'll be like, "Well, I saw you help that villager, so I'm going to show you mercy or something like that." Like it rarely happens like that. Where it's
even
just,
like in Mass Effect, it's not like that. It's not like if you do something horrible that it's like, oh, the game's totally different. Like there's like 3 different ways the game's going to end.
Yeah. So it's annoying and it feels like it's just busy work. Like, we're just going to keep you in this world, and as long as you're doing something, you'll feel like you're contributing to the, you're getting something out of it.
Which, if you're a person who can buy one game for the winter, right? Like, there's a lot of people I'll read on Reddit where it'll be like, I have money to buy one game for the year. What should it be? And that's an easy choice because, okay, get an open world game, get a Far Cry 4, or get a Grand Theft Auto 5 because it will last you a long time. And that's totally understandable. But if you're a person who likes to experience all these different things that are coming out, like... that's exhausting.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a friend of mine got Destiny for Christmas. Doesn't really play a lot of games. He's like, "Hey, I got Destiny for Christmas. What do you think?" And I was immediately like, "Oh,
fuck. Good luck,
dude. You're just I can't even tell you. Right. Like, I can't even say in a text message what you're about to get into. And I just want to be like, are you ready for a commitment? Like, are you prepared for this?
Ready for a second wife?
Yes, exactly. So. Let's see. What were your real quick? Should we our runners up?
I kind of went through mine, so feel free to go crazy.
Well, the my worst developer runner up, I handed the Arbie out to Evolution Studios for the botched release of Drive Club. Because you want to talk about a broken game. That game, I think, was the definition of the broken game for 2014.
Broken game for this year,
Yeah, I mean, just flat out didn't work. I mean, delayed, and then was released and still didn't work.
It's crazy.
And then after it was out, they had to do the whole thing of, offering people in-game content in order to apologize for the issues with the game. I mean, it was just goddamn embarrassing. And I wanted to play Drive Club because I was like, I look at my PS4 games and it's shooter, open world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
you want something different.
Yeah. So I wanted to mix it up, and I was like, well, Drive Club will be perfect. And I just stayed away from it. Every time I looked at it, I was like, nope.
Nope, can't do this.
Not ready.
And that was supposed to be free for PlayStation Plus subscribers, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the PSN edition, the PlayStation, the PS Plus edition of Drive Club is what I was going to get. That was going to be a free game on PS Plus, and then it was like, well, it's delayed. It's delayed.
Sucks.
And then it just fucking didn't work. So yeah, Evolution Studios definitely gets my worst dev. Best dev. Runner up, I hate to say it, but it was Monolith Studios for Shadow of Mordor for
they totally deserve it.
Yeah, taking a defunct Batman game and making it Game of the Year.
Yeah, making it a gory Batman.
Yeah, it was just crazy what they did with that game. And my biggest loser runner up was Ubisoft.
How could you not?
Yeah, they should have been the biggest loser for me, but when you start making threats against
death threats,
Gaben, it's all over.
Praise Gaben.
Praise and be Gaben be praised. My biggest runner up was, here's my cheese, was PC gaming.
I hear you, man.
Yeah, PC gaming.
It's the way of the future.
PC gaming, and then also Watch Dogs for having the single best multiplayer mode of all of 2014.
It's a very unique multiplayer.
Yeah, it was so good. The online hacking contracts was so good. Yeah. I couldn't even stop playing it. Once I maxed out and got to 12,500 points, I still kept playing it because there was nothing for me to gain from it anymore, but I couldn't, just the being able to find another player, hack them, get away, and laugh while you're escaping from them just felt so good every time I did it. And even just some of these, I had an escape where it basically was when someone would try to hack me. And the way they do that is they steer two players towards each other, so you can do so you can hack each other. And when I realized, I was like, you know what? Forget this. I don't even care about the points of blocking the hack or stopping the hack or killing that person trying to hack. I would just run and make the person chase me.
Nice, which
was way more fun.
You're such a dick.
And it was so great because I had way better experiences. I had escapes like someone was trying to chase me to hack me. And I wound up, because it takes place in Chicago, the bridges that can raise up over the Chicago River, someone watched me drive up the ramp, up the bridge while it was going up. While my car's in the air, I jumped out of my car, flew through the air, landed in the river, swam to a boat, and drove away. And I turned the camera around and saw the person just standing on the bridge looking, what the fuck? Just like not even able to catch me. Couldn't do anything about it. Just like, bye.
Dick move.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it was so good. I still have messages saved on my PlayStation about this.
Oh God.
Where someone was chasing me and we were in a boat chase. And when you're in a vehicle, you can't kill another person. And so they just have to chase you. Well, the boat mechanics are kind of broken in that game, where if you wander a little too close to the shore, your boat gets stuck.
Yeah.
And so there's a very narrow channel that I was very far away from it, but I was like, if I can get to that channel, he's probably going to be very erratic with his boat, because that's all I do is go back and forth in these little narrow channels. And so I made him follow me all the way to this one spot that I knew he would probably get stuck. And sure enough, I made the sharp turn, and I'm just going straight as an arrow down this very narrow little channel. And immediately I looked behind me, I saw he was stuck on the beach.
That's awesome.
And I just, bye.
Fuck it, you win.
Yeah. And then he messaged me, and he's like, that is so much bullshit that the boats get stuck like that. He's like, normally I would have just stopped and shot you. But he's like, I couldn't do anything. So
That's awesome.
it was so much fun. So
Yeah, that had a cool multiplayer.
yeah, I really liked it. Let's see. Most disappointing, worst game. Most disappointing, it was a piece of hardware. The Neo Geo X. The Neo Geo X.
Just died in, huh?
Yeah, no piece of hardware had a worse year than the Neo Geo X. I mean, you want to talk about officially being dead.
Yeah.
It's the Neo Geo X is just dead. I mean, there's nothing going on with it. There's no more future production, no more mega packs coming out. It's dead. And not only that, there is zero news, like zero announcements. They're still active on their Facebook. Just trying to sell the existing stock of the Neo Geo X. And I mean, huge, like 70% off this thing. I mean, huge discounts for everything. It's for the gold edition plus the mega pack. So I mean, you're getting all of it for less than $100 on some of these deals. And it's really, it's sad to see. And not only that, for a system that's been out now for almost 2 years, every time it pops up on Facebook, I read the comments and everyone's like, this thing's a piece of shit. I hate this thing. This is a waste of money. And I'm always the one that's liking it and going in and being like, this thing is awesome. Don't even speak bad about it. It's so good. But people just jumped on it, hated it right away, shredded it apart every chance they got. And I thought it was a great piece of hardware.
Yeah,
but
you really spoke highly of it.
I still do. I think it's a great piece
We
of...
were the official Neo Geo podcast for a while.
Yeah, we are. I still are the official, unofficial podcast. So yeah, rest in peace, Neo Geo X. It's crazy. And game of the year, runner-up, Grand Theft Auto 5, for sure. I mean, only that game could be released two times, and now a third time on PC. It's going to hit just as big. And
it's going to be all people are talking about on PC if it's optimized well. It's
yeah,
going to be nothing but Grand Theft Auto 5.
Well, and the PC community, if there's anything that's not good in that game, there's something that just didn't really work all that well, they'll fix it.
Yeah, I just recently got into downloading mods for Skyrim because I was like, I don't really want to play Skyrim again, but I want to see what these mod businesses are, and it's just crazy, that game. Like that, it's still like one of the most played games on Steam, and that like the amount of mods for things you could put in there is just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Like it just totally changes a game with a simple download. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty.
People are very smart.
It's a great community.
Yeah,
that modding community.
Very smart.
My honorable mention for game of the year, I'm just going to throw it out there, Shadow Warrior.
Really?
It's so
you
good.
Love it, huh? This is the perfect pack game.
I fell in love. I was just instant love at first sight.
It's fun.
And whoever wrote that character, Lo Wang, and he's just
Wang.
He's funny.
And he's giggling at Wang.
Yeah.
I am.
Wang. That first scene, it just... Because when you hear, you've got the touch from... Most people know it from the original Transformers movie.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. What is this game? And then it goes to hack and slash. It truly is an FPS, a first-person sword.
Yeah, it's crazy. That is really fun to use the sword, and it feels so good too.
Mm-hmm.
They did a good job with it. But just wait till later when you find like secret passages within levels. Like I did one where I found the secret passage, and it took me into a little basement that was completely styled like the Doom game. Like it was all pixelated, and it had it was like you went through and it was all this, and then you found this little collectible, and it was like a fortune cookie, and the fortune cookie said, "You're the best around. No one's gonna like." And it was the song from Karate Kid, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" It's so random, but it's just funny.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it's got its hook to me.
It's good shit.
And that's it.
We did it.
We did it, guys.
Perfect.
Arby's.
You're the best around.
There's a great Bruce Lee video on YouTube that uses that song, and it's It's
Nice.
good stuff.
That's
Gives me
classic.
every time. I've watched it. I still watch it once in a while when I go down the YouTube hole when I'm in bed.
Yeah.
I'll watch that.
For the song or for the content?
It just matches up so well with the Bruce Lee action.
Because it's so over the top.
It's just good. Well, congratulations to all the winners and losers of Arby's this year.
2014 was a meh year.
It was weird.
Meh.
Weird year.
It was weird. I mean, it was just
It was a great year for me. It was the whole PC switch.
Yeah.
I have a very soft spot in my heart now because that's pretty much changed the way I play video games, and the technology of the NVIDIA Shield, Game Stream, and Steam, and my God, like so many things related to that. But in terms of actual games and quality of games, it was just kind of a fart.
yeah.
Just kind of a fart.
It's surprising that we didn't give an Arby to anything NVIDIA.
I mean, they deserve it. But
certainly-
again, because both of them and Steam for the in-home streaming, like that technology is absolutely the way of the future.
Oh, yeah,
Like, it just makes things so much easier.
and I figured out finally my issues with my router.
Oh, yeah,
why
you
I
were
was
telling me that.
why I was getting lag. So I figured it out and had to disable that 2.4 gigahertz band
Yeah.
and use the 5 gigahertz and just totally fixed it. And it was just a whole brand new experience
Just like,
for
a
me.
fresh experience.
Oh, it was so good. And I was in bed, and my wife was right there, and I was trying to play Ultra Street Fighter 4, and preparing for the big showdown with Steve of Game
Yeah.
Classy. I don't know if you've heard. He talked about it on Game Classy. He's made a declaration. He made a promise saying that he guarantees 100% victory. He will win every single match against me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's getting in your head, psychological warfare.
Well, he's trying, and I think it's more coming from a place of fear. I think
Sounds
he's.
like it.
I think Spider's caught himself a couple of flies with this one. I
Oh,
think he's
nice.
wandered into the wrong yard.
Yeah.
He's kicked his ball into the wrong
Oh,
backyard.
I can't wait to hear.
Yeah, because he's right in my wheelhouse with Street Fighter, and that's a game that I've played since I was little. That's a game I know.
Yeah.
And I'm not a pro. I'm not saying I'm the best Street Fighter player. I'm certainly very amateur.
Sure.
But that's a game where I'm very comfortable. Where if I play somebody, I don't really care what they're unless they're a pro gamer.
Yeah.
If I were to sit down with Joe random person, I'm gonna be like, I'm probably gonna beat this person.
Did you see the video of that Big Daddy that was hacked into the game?
No.
Somebody modded or hacked in a Big Daddy into Street Fighter, and you can play as the Big Daddy.
Well, there is a new costume pack available. So like Ryu is a wolf, and there's a crazy costume pack that's available for it. But yeah, Steve guarantees 100% victory. That's good to be confident.
All right.
But I don't think things are going to work out for him in the end. We'll see.
If he loses, he has to shave his head. That's the bet.
So let's see. That's time for us.
That's definitely time.
Yeah, that's it. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Arbies, the second annual Arbies Awards. Be sure to check out planetarbitrary.com for all your Planet Arbitrary needs. Be sure to check out GameClassy.com, or Game Classy, our sister podcast. Joe and Steve, all things tabletop gaming. Anything, 40K tabletop gaming, role-playing, miniatures, all that stuff, that's Joe and Steve. So be sure to check out Game Classy. Be sure to check out all the podcasts on iTunes. We'd appreciate it if you'd go on there and rate, comment, and subscribe. Also check out the Play On Podcast Flipboard. Everything we talk about on the podcast is always on the Flipboard, and other random bits that we find interesting in gaming you can find there. Be sure to check out Stitcher Radio. You can find all the podcasts on Stitcher. What else am I missing?
Twitters?
Oh,
Tweeters.
yeah, Twitters. Yeah, at Play On Podcast. You can follow me at Pat's Game Reviews. You can follow Anthony.
Snoogans to you.
And Annie, you can always mail a letter.
Yeah.
Shout out via pen and paper.
Pen pal.
Be sure to check out Reddit, our game collecting, funstock.co.uk. Our discount code is still active. Save
Still
5%
going.
on any online order. Use the discount code PLANET and save 5% on any order on funstock.co.uk. And gamecollecting.net. Be sure to check out gamecollecting.net. They're doing big things. They had a good year last year. You want to talk about a big winner, a winner of last year? Gamecollecting.net had a good year.
Good for them.
Doing big things, and they're really doing a lot of work on the site to do a lot of new things for new users for 2015. So
Nice.
be sure to check out gamecollecting.net. Also, I didn't even mention, Joe and I were at Galloping Ghost recently, and that is an honorable mention for biggest winner right
Yeah.
there, a runner-up.
Can you believe how well they're doing?
They had a huge year. Not only, the Mortal Kombat reunion, the expansion that they've had, all the new games they've added. all their tournaments that they've had, all the content available on Twitch that you can watch, all their streams, everything. I mean, Doc
Working
Mack is
on a game.
yeah, producing a game. Yeah,
Yeah.
Doc Mack and the entire staff of Galloping Ghost really just killed it in 2014.
he's a good
so
guy.
yeah, it's a great place. Not just because it's the local arcade, but just because it's got to be like
It's
the best
pinnacle of the arcade.
yeah, the best arcade in the country.
Yeah,
So yeah, there we go.
it's awesome.
All right, guys. Well, till next time,
Play on, bitches.
Play on.
play on.